what about Texas on your official visit that kind of got you attracted to them?
Oh, with Texas, Coach Trust, I've been building a relationship with him. I probably have the longest relationship with him because he's been recruiting me since he's been at Georgia Tech, and I like him so much because I feel like I can see myself in him. Like he doesn't change who he is for the professionalism in it. He's just the same person throughout it. And then on top of that, he's a great coach. Like me going to watch him coach and just teaching the backs that he had, that just show a lot. And then Coach Sark coming from Saban's background and his tree just he's a winner, he's a competitor. He don't like losing, so he know what he's talking about.
Cedric Baxter Jr., the number one running back in the country on Sports Illustrated and SI All American, out of the Orlando area. Edgewater High School is the program he comes from, and he has become the banner prospect at one of those most talent rich high schools in the great state of Florida. Of course, Baxter on Wednesday night picking Texas over the in-state Florida Gators, the in-state Miami Hurricanes, and most notably for this Texas audience, the Texas A&M Aggies as well. So he was either going to play his college ball in Florida, his home state, or over in Texas, of course, also a state quite known for the sport of football. And look, I said it at the top, Cedric Baxter, number one running back in this class of 2023. We just released the SI 99 rankings on Tuesday, and he was RB1. There was some contention there. Richard Young, Justice Haynes, Jeremiah Cobb, there Ruben Owens. It's a great year at the position in terms of a variety of running backs, but we really like the floor and ceiling of what Cedric Baxter presents. So number one running back, number 21 overall in the entire SI 99. Baxter, 6'1", 215 pounds or so, built more like an H-back or an outside linebacker than your conventional running back. So you may think, okay, this is a downhill, big physical cat. And I think Baxter exhibits a lot of that in his game. But the X factor for Ced is his ability in space. This is not a career running back. This is not a player who knew from day one he was going to be toting the rock in between the tackles, taking on linebackers in the hole. No. This is a guy who came up playing everywhere on the football field. Running back, wide receiver, defensive back, linebacker. He's done it all already at this stage. But last year was his first true year as the guy at running back, and we saw just such an explosion of production for the Edgewater High School program. 26 rushing touchdowns, almost 2,000 yards of offense as a runner, but you also had some supplementary game as a wide receiver, and that is where Baxter is just different in this class compared to most. I listed a size earlier, 6'1", 220 pounds or so. You don't think of a guy that size to be swift, to be explosive in the open field, to be a space player, to be a player so comfortable running routes out of the backfield or split out as a wide receiver. But Baxter already has that experience on the varsity level. He's already shown us that experience on the offseason camp circuit there as well. Linebackers are just too stiff for him. He can set them up almost like a big wide receiver. So while he does have this powerful element to his game, there's this space and grace element to his game that counters it, that really makes him a modern three-down running back despite having classic old school running back size. So he is a great blend for Texas. Obviously, Longhorn fans are pretty used to that right now with Bijan Robinson. I think Baxter's a little bit different. He's not as explosive, but I do think he has some of that three-down ability that we see Bijan utilize so very well. But Cedric is taller, a wider catch radius. Again, a guy you can split out as an H-back or a wide receiver on occasion to truly discombobulate a defensive set. So I'm very, very high on this kid, if you guys can't tell. Again, he's our number one running back in the country on Sports Illustrated. And I'm not a big comp guy. I've talked about this with JD on the show before, but I've got a great comp for Cedric Baxter. He reminds me both in his build, his demeanor to a degree, and certainly his game of Le'Veon Bell, another bigger back that was known for grace and movement in space, but also with that ability to lower his shoulder and let you know that, yeah, I'm 220 pounds and it's going to be a whole lot of work to bring me to the turf. So Baxter brings a lot of that to his game as well. Najee Harris would be a more modern comp, if that makes sense, keeping it with the Pittsburgh Steelers theme in that regard. But obviously a huge get for Texas, no matter how you look at it. Positionally, number one running back in America. Regionally, going into the Sunshine State and pulling him out of the state of Florida when Miami and the Gators were all over this kid. And then, of course, perceptionally and regionally, another head-to-head win for Steve Sarkisian over Jimbo Fisher. I think as we move forward in this recruiting game with Texas out recruiting A&M in this cycle to converse what happened last year, I think this is the rivalry in recruiting. We're going to be talking about a whole lot more Texas versus Texas A&M. We certainly want them to do it on the field, and maybe that'll come in years down the line when they're all in the SEC. But certainly in recruiting, we're getting a whole lot of Texas versus Texas A&M right now. And of course, in the 23 cycle, Hookem has reigned on top. Cedric Baxter, a Texas Longhorn, huge deal, and another notch in the cap for Steve Sarkisian in his pursuit of a potential number one recruiting class. Big news in my home state of Florida, and honestly, big news nationally. Cedric Baxter, he's a Longhorn.